Throughout the 9 realms, tales echo through the ages recounting the moment when Odin, the sovereign of Asgard, led his forces in a legendary battle against Loki, the frost giant's king, emerging victorious. Unearthing Loki, Loki's diminutive son, Odin spared the child, bringing him to Asgard to be nurtured amidst the divine. But what if, on that pivotal day, fate smiled upon Loki? What if Asgard had succumbed, and Thor found himself spirited away to Jotunheim, far from the realm where he was destined to become the god of thunder? This is 2018 Thor What If story, written by genius writer Ethan Sachs, and this is what happened. Long ago, a battle of raged shook the mountains. Across every realm, King Loki, commanding the frost giants, wages war against the Asgardians ruled by King Odin. In a protracted conflict, Loki seizes triumph when Odin falters in a critical moment, providing an opening for Loki to vanquish the Asgardian monarch with his enchanted hammer, Ice Crusher. With victory secured, the frost giants plunder Asgard, sparing only Freya and Thor. Freya is consigned to languish in Loki's prison, while Thor is embraced as Loki's adopted son, marking the pinnacle of triumph over his defeated adversary. Within the icy dungeons of Loki's fortress in Jotunheim, Loki stealthily infiltrates Thor's cell, seeking to forge a bond with his newfound brother. Thor expresses gratitude for Loki's thoughtful gesture of providing furs to combat the biting cold of his unfamiliar abode. In return, Loki presents Thor with a roughly carved amulet, symbolizing the beginning of their brotherly connection. After an indeterminate span of time, Thor and Loki join a youthful frost giant hunting expedition, tasked with subduing a colossal Jotunheim creature. Witnessing Loki's harsh command for the other giants to recklessly charge at the monster, resulting in casualties, Loki endeavors to impress his father. Employing his magical abilities, Loki attempts to cloak himself in invisibility and approach the creature for a fatal strike. However, his efforts only incur Loki's disdain, as the beast, relying on its other senses, locates Loki and subdues him. Pleading for his father's intervention, it is Thor who comes to his brother's aid. Despite being consumed by the creature, Thor summons a powerful lightning bolt, vanquishing the beast, emerging unscathed and proclaiming himself the Prince of Winter. It becomes evident that Thor has found solace and acceptance in the once unwelcoming realm he now calls home. In stark contrast, Loki deems Thor highly worthy, hinting at the possibility of him wielding Ice Crusher, the sacred weapon of the frost giant kings. A frost giant named Grimr raises objections, but Loki swiftly dismisses him. Despite Thor's attempts to share his elation with Loki, he discovers that Loki has already departed, leaving behind a void of camaraderie. In the dungeons, Loki broods and discovers the long-forgotten Freya, who offers him the one thing nobody else would in Jotunheim, a sympathetic ear. Years pass, with Loki and Thor both growing to adulthood, and Loki regularly steals away to the dungeons to talk to Freya, learning magic from her and exulting in the kindness she shows him. He keeps the truth of her son's survival from her in an act of childish selfishness, but also employs his growing sorceress skills to bring her what comfort he can. In the halls above, Loki pits Thor against Grimr in mortal combat, for Grimr has continued to speak against Loki's plan to name Thor as the next king of Jotunheim. Thor is not eager to slay someone he has hunted with for so long, but Grimr's taunts and Loki's talk of honor sees them battle. Knocking his larger foe to the floor by shattering his knee with a punch, Thor is officially bequeathed Ice Crusher, and at Loki's command, he uses it to slay Grimr. Loki returns and sardonically congratulates Thor on his new position as Crown Prince. Thor is blind to how his brother has grown detached from him, greeting him with what the former Asgardian believes is genuine affection and good humor. He then tells Loki that Loki has commanded both of his sons, march to war against Surtur and the fire giants of Muspelheim with him tomorrow. His makes up Loki's mind. He has no desire to risk his tender skin against the burning wrath of the fire giants. Using his magic, he steals into the dungeon, bespells the guards, and frees Freya. Soon afterwards, LOKI leads a confused Thor through the frozen-over ruins of Asgard, telling his confused ward that the war against Muspelheim has been postponed to hunt a traitor. Unknowingly passing by the ice-covered Mjolnir, Thor assures LOKI that he feels no pull to this place and is a true son of Jotunheim now. In a rare moment of tenderness, LOKI apologizes to Thor, admitting that he knows it hasn't been easy for Thor to be his adopted son, and telling Thor that he believes Thor to be the only person in the Nine Realms who would not let him down. They come across Loki's targets, Loki and Freya seeking to rebuild the Bifrost so they might flee to Midgard together. Loki charges in, grabbing Loki and starting to crush him, dismissing Thor's pleas for mercy. Loki swiftly conjures a dagger and slays his unprepared father, stabbing him in the eye and then cutting his throat as he reels. Loki's death enrages Thor, who attacks Loki in pursuit of vengeance, despite Loki's attempt to talk him down. When Thor unleashes a blast of utter cold from Ice Crusher, Freya pushes Loki to safety, but is slain by it. Thor is horrified when he realizes he has just killed his own mother and resumes his attack on Loki. Pinning the runty frost giant down and preparing to stave his head in, Loki pleads that he just wanted to leave and find his own path. For whatever reason, Thor lowers his hammer and tells Loki to go. Loki tells Thor that he could come to Midgard with him, be free of everything he has had to deal with, but Thor refuses. With Loki dead, Jotunheim will need Thor to defend it from fire demons, dark elves, trolls, and all the other monsters and malevolent peoples of the Nine Realms. The frost giants may not be Thor's people by blood, but they are still his people. They need him, and so he has a purpose. He tells Loki to find his own purpose, and then watches as Loki vanishes across the Bifrost before falling to his knees in mourning, lightning bolts spitting from the sky and arcing across the ruins around him. Our narrator reveals himself as a man in a hut on Midgard, telling his tale to a pair of boys for distraction from a midwinter storm. He hints at Loki becoming a formidable champion for Midgard, leaving the rest for another night. The boys, intrigued, express a desire to see Thor. Despite the storyteller's caution, the boy's mother scolds him for such stories. As he heads out for firewood, he discovers Loki's amulet in the snow, the one gifted to Thor long ago. He picks it up and looks into the snowy, stormy sky in wonder, revealing himself to be Loki.